Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your DevOps Enterprise co-hosts, Steve Brodie, CEO of Electric Cloud, and Gene Kim, author and researcher.
Hey, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Right on. My name is Gene Kim. It is an honor and a privilege to be serving as your co-host at the second annual DevOps Enterprise Summit here in San Francisco. I'm grateful that we've assembled 1,200 people of like-minded thinkers and kindred spirits who care about DevOps in large, complex organizations. So why are we here? Here's my speculation. I think we're here because we think DevOps is important. We think that DevOps creates genuine business value. And I think we all think that DevOps makes our work humane. And I think this is the inhumanity, the unjustness of how work can be done in technology was captured. Our goal is to capture that in the first half of the Phoenix Project book. Furthermore, I think we're here because we all believe and we want to prove that DevOps not only is applicable to large, complex organizations, but actually works in large, complex organizations. And we're doing that through experience reports, a very specific form where we say, here's our organization, here's the business problem we're trying to solve, here's where we started, here's what we did about it, and here's the business value that we created. And by doing this, we create a community of practice where we can share lessons learned and help elevate the state of the practice. And we also want to identify the top challenges facing the DevOps Enterprise community and, more importantly, learn how to overcome them. So just to take a moment, I'd like to just briefly outline what I think the business value of DevOps is. Over the last 3 years, we worked with Puppet Labs, Jez Humble, the author of the Continuous Delivery book, and Dr. Nicole Forsgren. We found that high performers are massively outperforming their non-high performing peers. They deploy more frequently. They can deploy faster, whether it's code or in the environments. They are massively more successful when they actually deploy into production. They have much faster mean time to repair. We're not talking like 2 times better. We're talking orders of magnitudes better. And they're significantly more likely to achieve organizational goals, whether it's profitability, market share, or productivity goals. So there's actually one other thing that we did in the benchmarking that spanned over 20,000 organizations over the last 3 years. And for me, it solved one of the biggest mysteries, I think, in the DevOps community, which is the strange thing about Amazon and Etsy. So there's this amazing statistic where John Jenkins shared at Amazon, they're doing one deploy every 11.6 seconds. So that's about 15,000 deploys per day, right? So that's amazing, right? But not as amazing as where they are now. Ken Exner, who heads up Director of Dev Resource at Amazon, shared that they're doing 50 million deployments per year now, right? So that's 136,000 deployments per day. So what would explain this ever-increasing number of deploys per day? Similarly, at Etsy, Dr. Nicole Forsgren shared last year that Etsy, too, has this ever-increasing number of deploys per day. And I believe, and we found this through the benchmarking, is because that deploys per day is actually hiding an even more important metric, which is deploys per day per developer. In other words, I think what DevOps shows us is under certain conditions, we can scale developer productivity linearly with the number of developers. In other words, in the old days, in the bad old days, if we doubled the number of developers, often we would double the testing effort, the integration effort, and ultimately the effort to deploy value to the customers. And yet, under certain conditions, we can actually scale this linearly with the number of developers. And I think that's an issue and a problem that every technology leader cares about. So my genuine belief is that large organizations have more to gain than anybody with DevOps. And I genuinely believe that the majority of the economic value for DevOps is not going to come from the unicorns of Google, Netflix, Amazon, and Etsy. Instead, it's going to be in these large, complex organizations. It's going to be from the horses, the rise of the horses as we adopt the same principles and practices that the unicorns are adopting. Why? Because I think that's where the majority of technology spending is happening, and ultimately that's where the majority of technology workers are. And just to motivate this, why I think this is so important, in this room, we have about 500 organizations represented. And just by a quick napkin calculation, I think you are collectively representing about 1 million technology workers. Right? And just to put that into perspective, IDC says there are about 16 million dev and ops professionals on the planet. So this is about 5%. You are representing 5% of the technology worker population. So imagine if we can increase the productivity of 1 million technology workers, right? I think we will make a material difference and a contribution to the economy. So I think this work is important by all of you. So just to sum this up, Dr. Brandon Williams, he said, let there be no more DevOps unicorns or horses. Instead, let's talk about the thoroughbreds and the horses who are heading to the glue factory, right? In other words, there will be winners and losers created in the marketplace, right? And this, I think this is pioneering that movement. So last year, I asked every speaker to end with a slide that said, here's what I'm looking for help on, or here's what I don't know how to do. And the reason for that was so that we could identify the top obstacles facing the community. So here were the top 5 issues that you had talked about last year. Tell us about how we create automated testing for legacy applications where we have none. 2 is, what are the issues around transformation, around culture and leadership issues? Tell us how to do organizational design, especially for this next generation of operations organization. Tell us how we get security on board. Dev, test, operations, we all want to go faster, except for those people in information security and compliance, right? How do we get them on board? And what metrics should we use to drive our improvement goals? And so our goal this year was to bring in the top experts in those domains to help you solve those problems. And we want to preserve that experience report format. So there'll be fewer experience reports, but to make room for these subject matter experts. And you're going to see those sprinkled in throughout the program. The one other thing that we did was assemble 35 people from the DevOps Enterprise community, and we invited them to Portland for 3 days. And our ask was simple. Come spend 3 days with us, and let's see if we can generate written guidance that we can deliver back to the community here at DevOps Enterprise Summit 2015. And so they did it, right? Not only did they spend 3 days with us, but they had weekly working calls. And what came out of it are 5 reports that are going to be that anyone can download, and the instructions are here. And each leader of the 5 teams will be doing a 5-minute report out throughout the remainder of this day, actually the 3 days. So I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve.
Great. Thank you, Gene. So Electric Cloud is thrilled to be partnering with IT Revolution to organize the DevOps Enterprise Summit. You know, a couple of years ago, as Gene talked about, we got together and we conceived of this event, and we really saw that there was a gap in the conference lineup. There really wasn't anything for large enterprises that were trying to do DevOps. And Electric Cloud works with some of the largest and most interesting companies in the world trying to do DevOps and continuous delivery at scale. And so we thought it really made sense to partner and create this. So last year was the inaugural event. Some of you probably attended that event. We sold it out. We had 600 people in the room. As Gene mentioned, this year we've doubled attendance. We have about 1,200 people in the room. So there's definitely a pent-up demand for this. People are very interested in hearing the stories and learning how enterprises can work through some of these DevOps transformational journeys. In terms of the attendance, this is also a worldwide phenomenon. We have representation here from over 5 continents. So we have people that have flown in from around the world to be with us here today. So it's great to see the enterprise DevOps community come together. This event, we really wanted to make sure that this was an industry event. We think it's very important to bring the entire community together to foster this movement. And this event would not be possible without the sponsors that are here. And we've doubled the number of vendors that are sponsoring the event in here this year, again, in large part due to the number of attendees. So I want to have a big shout out, a big round of applause for our platinum sponsors this year. So we have Atomic, GoTo Group, IBM, Microsoft, and PricewaterhouseCoopers that are platinum sponsors this year. I would definitely encourage everyone to visit them in the expo hall. We also had a large number of gold sponsors here. It's a longer list. I won't go through all of them. Again, I would encourage you to go visit them. But I think as you start looking at this list of sponsors, this really is the who's who of DevOps vendors. So really a great opportunity to learn about the solutions that are out there. A great number of silver sponsors as well here. And there's also some emerging sponsors. These are more startups that are just getting into the space, and encourage you to go visit them and support all of them. Just a little bit of housekeeping here. So we do have an event app. So I'd encourage you to download the DevOps Enterprise event app. This is a way that you can actually find the schedules on your mobile phone. It's also the mechanism that we're going to be using to rate the sessions. And it's very important for us to improve the content next year to get feedback on the sessions, what you liked, what are some of the things that we can do to improve it. Wi-Fi, some of you may have found it already, but here is the Wi-Fi name for the conference, and the Wi-Fi password is DOES 2015. Again, to encourage you to go see the sponsors, we will be doing a passport game. So in your badge packet, there'll actually be a passport in there. If you go visit all the platinum sponsors, the organizing sponsors, you get a stamp. We'll have a raffle for some nice prizes, Apple Watch, GoPro, etc. The drawing will be Wednesday, 1:15 in the exhibit hall. So in terms of the exhibit hall, it's going to be open today from 1 to 7, so pretty much through the afternoon. We'll be having a happy hour this evening at 5:30 in the expo hall. It's a great opportunity to get some drinks, socialize, and visit some of the folks there. Be open early morning around breakfast on Tuesday, and then through the afternoon hours, and then we'll be having a party tomorrow evening. And likewise, you can see sort of the opening hours very similar on Wednesday as well. Hit on this. Also want to thank our organizers, World Meetings by Sonia, Catapult, which is our PR firm, Good Company, who's doing a great job on the AV in the back, and Dow House as well here. So thank you very much for helping us out with this event. So most importantly, probably for us here, we take this very seriously. We have a code of conduct for the conference. This was something that we had last year. And a couple key things that I want to highlight here. Number one, not really so much a code of conduct, but we really encourage everyone to participate. The value of this conference is really the participation and it's the sharing. So very important to listen. I certainly learned a lot last year here at some of the sessions, but also to share. Share some of your learning, share some of your challenges. You'll be amazed to find out how many other people are working through that, have solved that, have run into some of the pitfalls. Also for us, it's very important to be respectful of others and to treat other people with dignity. So regardless of race, color, gender, sexual orientation, country of origin, whether you use a mainframe or not, we want to have respect for everyone in the room. And so we do take this seriously. And if you see anything that seems like a violation of that, I encourage you to speak up. You can come find Gene, you can come find myself, or there is an alias that you can send to help at IT Revolution. So if there's anything that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, please do speak up. And we're going to have a big party tomorrow. If you haven't been to the Exploratorium's a couple blocks away. It's a phenomenal science museum, hands-on. We're going to be right there on the water. So we're going to have a great party there tomorrow evening from 6 to 8, and I hope everyone will be able to join us for that. And I think I will turn it back over to you, Gene.
Thank you. By the way, how are we doing so far? Is this sounding like going to be worth your time? One of the phrases I heard from Ross Clanton a couple weeks ago was this, and it just moved me. He said, it's great to be surrounded by other leaders who are solving the same problems I'm solving. And there's a huge intrinsic motivation of being able to surround yourselves with the best in the game, and I think that's why we're all here. So I want to offer, I think there's two quotes that come to mind. One is, how do we create communities of practice that are mutually exothermic, right? How do we genuinely help each other in a way that we want to be helped? And I think that's by doing that, that's how we elevate the state of the practice, both across the industry and in our own organizations. So one way is through the programming committee. I'm so grateful for all the help that we had in terms of putting together this great program. And one person I really want to call out is Damon Edwards. He took my phone calls during all hours of the day, throughout the entire course of this project. So if you don't like what you see, blame him, right? Here's what I would love your help on, is broadcast what help you're looking for. And secondly, help connect people. If you hear something that someone that is working on something and you find out someone who's really good at it, try to connect them. I think we all get value that way. We have an open space session. Dominica DeGrandis is leading an open space session. We have unconference time. So go ahead and lead one. Use Twitter. Ask Dominica for help. Lead that, and I think we can all create value. And if you think it's something broadly applicable, get on Twitter, put their hashtag is DOES15, want to help, right? And we'll try to help in any way that we can. And lastly, rate all the presentations in the application. We need feedback, and that's something that we're desperately looking for. The last thing, the DevOps Handbook manuscript is almost complete. Here is the issue burn down chart. I've kept a daily work log for last couple of years, 5 years. The first entry for the DevOps cookbook, now called the DevOps Handbook, it was July 2011. So this means that the cycle time to generate the book is probably going to be about 4 to 5 years. So I'm not extremely proud of that, but we are starting to take pre-orders now, and I'm so excited. It's going to be it's a great freaking book. So thank you to Patrick Dubois, Jez Humble, and John Willis. So with that, I think that concludes the introductions.